Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Joe, how you doing? Hey, thank you for joining. I really appreciate that. It's very nice of you. Okay. Like I said before, this afternoon, the first lesson this Monday is going to be on reading. I don't want to do a whole lot of talking because you're the only one here, but just to give you an idea, who else is that? It's going to be on reading. Now, when I first started, I thought reading, and I want to play like Buddy Rich, and I want to play like Gene Krupa, and I used to go home every day to play on the 33 and the third. They used to call it a phonograph. The drum battle in Carnegie Hall, I believe it was, between Gene Krupa and Buddy Rich, and I used to do a drum battle with them every day after school, and I used to win. But, I go take drum lessons at the local music store. My first book was the Haskell Harr book. I said, man, this is boring as hell. What does this have to do with playing the drums? A quarter note rest, eighth note rest, counting systems. And I said, okay, I'll deal with it. I went through the Haskell Harr 1, Haskell Harr 2, the Buddy Rich book, and the syncopation book, and then I changed teachers. And when I went to them, they did the same thing. They started where I left off with the other teacher. And I thought that was pretty shallow. Now, you do have PDFs on the reading exercises I gave you, correct? How many people is this one? Nobody's in here. Okay. And, it's like we're not going to just do the I did a breakdown, and what do you call it? Oh man, I can't even get the words out tonight. A proofreading part, so you understand what you're doing. How you doing, Paul? Joe is, I guess he got booted. He'll be back. Okay. Anyway, I thought it was pretty shallow. You do the syncopation book, you do the Buddy Rich book, and you go to the next book. And before you know it, you've studied with a guy for 2 years, you went through 30 books, and you don't know shit. Okay, not a problem, Joe. Anyway, for example, if we took the syncopation book and we did a 4-measure phrase, and we played it with a jazz feel, which you like, Paul, you do the page and you do it with a jazz feel, and you go to the next page and you finish the book and say, okay, next book. That's pretty shallow. So what we're going to start to do with the reading, I'm going to do it like a 4-measure increment first, and we're going to do a ostinato pattern with the feet. Okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to come up with an ostinato to do the table of time. For example, this is going to help you out there, Paul. Did anybody listen to that video I have, the drum, Matt Also Waltzes? Did anybody listen to that? Or watch it? It was a Max Roach thing. He did the drums also off. Boom. play the bottom all the time like that. So what I'm going to do, we did the table of time last night, and we did it in 4/4, and we did no accents. I mean, we did with the accents the way Morello projected it, no dynamics, and it's in 4. So we're going to do the table of time in 3. We're going to use 1, 2, 3, 1. So the first line is going to be quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 1. Quarter note triplets. Eighth notes. Ah. Triplets. 16th. Then the 5s and the 6s. We'll get to that in a second. But, you know, how many times can you practice the table of time? Okay? Jim, how you doing? Anyway, now we take the table of time, which we're going to do from the Stanek book, with the dynamics and with the different time signatures. We just learned how to do it in 4. We could play up to, I guess, the whole thing, the 12s. The 11s still give me problems. I look at that as a caution and I skip it. I go to 12s, the subdivision. But anyway, let's do the table of time with a 3/4 ostinato. So we're going to think of the table of time instead of 4/4. We're going to think of it as 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. We're using that foot pattern that I just did. Boom, chick, rest. Boom, chick, rest. So let's just do the first line. And it's interesting. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3/4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Little up tempo. 1, 2, 3, 1. Get it? Now, the next one is 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 1. 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 1 and the 2. That's a hard one. We'll skip the quarter note triplet. Go right to the 8th notes until next time, okay? So we got 1, 2, 3, 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. Back to quarters. 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. 6 triplets. 16th. Up to the 16th, you want to do the 5s, the 6s. It's a journey. It's a nice one, and it makes actually the table of time in 4 a lot easier. How you doing, Jim? Now, Max Roach was he was he was just a great drummer. You know, you got Max Roach, Elvin Jones, Roy Haynes, who gets a lesser of a notoriety. But see, I even forgot his name. Art Blakely. Art Blakely, everybody wanted to play with Art Blakely. I went to see him a couple times. I mean, that guy is one hell of a drummer. The reason why all the horn men, you know, the bass player and the piano player, he would have a different crew all the time. But he'd lay out a tune, A Night in Tunisia, Billy's Bounce, whatever. And you know that tune. He was right on it all the time. That's why, and he was always right, all the time. That's why everybody loved to play with him. Okay, do you understand what I just did with the 3/4 table of time? You could actually play it in 5. You could play it in 6. And like I said, Jim, We're going to do reading with some ostinato patterns Monday, plus some rudiments. I'll put a couple sheets together. We'll do some 6/8 from the Charlie Wilcoxon book with the rudiments, and some 2/4 from the NARD. The flam taps, the flam paradiddles, all right, the different variations. Does that sound okay with you guys? Now, I'm going to give this lesson to Paul. Okay, I've been neglecting Paul because Paul's a hell of a nice guy. Don't we think, guys? And I've been going and helping everybody what they requested. So, Paul, how you doing, Hoist? What would you like to work on jazz-wise? The jazz independence, straight ahead time, modulation. What would you like to work on? The difference between a broken time, modulation, and a straight time. So it's all in your show there. Every one I mentioned, for sure, Joe. Every one of them I listened to for hours and hours and years and years. And let me tell you something, man. They're very inspiring. Great, great players, man. That New York City is infested with great players, even to today. Like I said, I saw Elvin Jones live one time. I said, "Hey, man, this guy, he can't even hold the sticks right. What is everybody talking about?" And I turned my back at the stage and went and I asked the bartender for a drink, and I was listening to him, and I said, "Holy shit, this guy's playing his ass off." So I didn't be judgmental with the way he held the sticks. How he played the music is what I was there for, and that's what I listened for. So tell me, Paul, what would you like? Tonight is Paul's night. Tell me, Paul. Hoist, what would you like? You having problems with the straight ahead jazz? You asked me to write out for you that time to send it to you? Jim, I still don't get a package. I'm waiting for it. Maybe it's because it's overloaded with Christmas, maybe. I probably should get it tomorrow or Saturday. And I'll wear the t-shirt Monday afternoon. Okay, let me get the syncopation book out. Let's work from that. Okay, guys. What do you mean you struggle with setups? Good for you, Jim. That's nice. Treasure those sticks. When you say setups, is that a timing issue you're talking about? When you say setup, you're trying to set up lead-ins? Don't call them fills. Like bing, do, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Bing, 2, 3, 4. Is that what you're talking about, Paul? You say you're struggling with setups. I don't know what that term means. Setups. You're setting what up? The musicians or your next move on the drum set? Elaborate on that, please. Fills. Well, that's a timing issue. Now, you want to call fills, that's fine. All right, well, that's okay. I understand what you're talking. Don't. You can use whatever terms you want. I don't really like fills. They're lead-ins, okay? Now, you have a hard time with this setting up. What kind of hard time? I mean, coming in time or knowing what you want to do to bring it in time? I'm not sure. Here's how I do this. Let me give you an exercise to help you with the lead-in, or if you want to call it the fill-in, okay? I prefer lead-in. That's more musical, more professional, and correct. Fill-ins is putting something inside of a space. And the terms get a little, call it what you will. It's not a problem. Let's take a 4-measure increment and just play a straight ahead time for 3.5 measures. On the third beat of the fourth measure and the fourth beat of the fourth measure, you're going to come back to the 1. So let's leave the 3 and 4 open, okay? And you want to add something inside of there to bring it to the 1. You could do the same thing over and over again until you feel it correctly. We're not talking musically, we're just trying to feel the time. How you doing, SP? Don't you have the PDF, Nathan? Well, let me give you that exercise. Okay? Now, I don't know what I want to do. Let's just do something really simple when we get to the 3. I'm playing 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 2. Now I'm on the fourth measure. 4, 2. On the 3, 4. Well, you don't know what to do. There's nothing to do. It's going to lead itself in, okay? What you're doing, the next section, is you're enhancing it or making it feel better or more musical to bring it into that section. And that's what it is. If you're doing, I don't want to do 8 measures because that's a long way, but it's usually 8 measures from one section to another section. Let's leave it at the 4. Take a nice tempo and just do 4 measures. On the fourth measure, on the count of 3 and 4, you're going to do, I guess, a lead-in or a fill-in to the 1. In time. You don't know what to do. There's nothing to do. Watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 2. Just play something. You understand that, Paul? That'll help you. Nice and easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2. Three, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2. Well, there's no pressure there. You put whatever you want in and just keep practicing it. But practice in time and with a metronome. A bing, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1. 4, 2. It's a simple process. You have to know where you're at all the time. You're counting it right now, but if you were humming the tune and you're going to lead them into the next section, and that will help you. Okay, Nathan, you missed this afternoon's lesson. I guess you had a gig. That's cool. I love it. All these gigging drummers, man, are coming to listen to what I have to say. That makes me feel good. Yeah, it'll help. Just build on it. You're not under no pressure here, Paul. Well, it's the bebop, the straight ahead jazz is basically in 4/4 there, Nate. We talked about sections, 12-bar blues, that's in 4, but you could play it in 3, you could play it in 6, 6/4, 4/4, but the standard usually is 4/4. I keep saying I'm going to do something, and I just get sidetracked. And like I said, I want to write out a whole chart on Satin Doll. It's a very simple tune, just to give you some idea of what you're doing exercise-wise, how it can be applied musically. When I get a chance, which man, it's just, you wouldn't believe how overwhelming this stuff is. With all the teachers giving me a call on the phone or on Skype or sending me their books, I literally still have, they want me to critique their book and do a thing on their book on the computer, on Facebook or the YouTube or whatever. And I still literally have about 3 or 4 still in the packages. That's how many I have. And that makes me feel good that these teachers would like my opinion. But anyway, Paul, don't beat yourself up. Just play something simple. Hey, let me see if I get something with the brushes. I got this thing. I don't know if this is going to work. Let me just try it. 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. All I did was 4 measures, and sometimes I would start to fill in or to lead in on the 1 or maybe the 3. But these brushes, they have a lot of fun with them. Anyway, yeah, most jazz tunes are in 4/4. You understand the sections of the tunes there, Nate? A, B, A. Sometimes it gets a little confusing because somebody like Miles Davis, when he'll tag an additional A section on the introduction, and then he'll play A, B, A. Moment's Notice, that's a strange tune. We're not going to go there. I love the tune Milestones. Do you understand, Nate? Milestones, the section. It's a 32-bar tune. Bump. I'm going to play it slow. Bump, 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 bump. That was one section. Now, when you're playing the tune with a band, you should be humming that. You'll never get lost, no matter what the other musicians are doing, because they are playing off the melody that you're humming. And that's the rules. A, B, A, B, A, twice. That's the head. Improv. When whoever's going to be improvising, the piano player, the sax player, the guitar player, it's always A, B, A, B, A, over and over again. Usually the norm is you give him 3 or 4 verses. If he's saying something, he's hot, you let him go. Let him keep going. He'll take you back in. He'll take you back in to the A section. Do you understand that, Nate? Paul? Jim? Whoever? Any questions on that? I just love this coffee, guys. Do we understand that? Monday night, ostinato patterns out of the Table Time with Dave Stanik's book, and dynamics. Monday afternoon, we're going to do some reading with some ostinato patterns in 6/8, 12/8, 7/8. This way it doesn't make reading boring. But first you have to go on to the first platform and say, this is 8th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and be able to read a couple measures correctly. Okay? You can proofread it with the system that I have. Did that system help you out proofreading the guys if you didn't understand the notation? Because it was very simple notation. No, I don't have anything on there There's a couple bands, I'm sorry, man, the last 20 years, all I've been doing is focusing in on education. And that's way before YouTube was actually created. YouTube was created maybe 15, 20, less than 20 years ago. And I never really videotaped or videoed me playing with anybody. But there are some videos out there, I believe, with bands I used to play with. Okay, and that's it's out there someplace. I have to find it. It's simple stuff. The gigs I go on, I get calls for gigs all the time. We talked about that. You know, I'm 73 years old. I do not want to take these drums down, put them in my car, go to the gig, take them out of my car, bring them into the club, set them up, and play for 4 hours. Take them down, put them back in the car, come home, take them out of the car, put them in the studio, and set them up again. That is just a lot of work. Inga da bonga da bonga. It really is. So, the last 20 years, I get a couple calls. If they have a set there, next time I go out and play, I'll make sure I'll take my camera and have somebody video it. You know, play a jazz gig or a commercial gig or whatever. I will do that. Maybe I'll go on one of Mike Clark's gigs and play with all those heavy dudes and have him film it. He's playing with some very heavy guys, man. The coffee, Joe, that's the question. All right, I love coffee, number one. I'm a coffee nut. Caffeine and nicotine, I got to get rid of the nicotine, which I slowly am. The coffee is from Dunkin' Donuts. My wife goes to Dunkin' Donuts, and she gets 4 or 5 bags. It lasts us for about a week, because my son, my wife, and I all drink Dunkin' Donuts coffee. I drink mine black. My son drinks his black. My wife, she makes cereal out of it. She puts milk and sugar in it. All right. Okay. So, I want to keep doing the lesson for a little longer. Okay? And what don't you like to do? Oh, take the drums and put them in the car back and forth? Yeah, well, roadies. Then what I need, if I need to make someone, we got a new member today. I want to thank Joe. If I get enough members, I could hire somebody to sit in here and be the audio video guy, and I get all the views of the cameras, and he could tell me the questions coming from the chat, and I'll answer them. I'm doing like 4 or 5 different jobs here at once and trying to keep the lesson going. Whether it's declined or not, it's just maybe a habit. What's that, Starbucks? My God, forget about it. You drink a cup of coffee from Starbucks, you're jetting around, and I'm telling you, you're up for a week, and it tastes disgusting. But hey, come on, let's do some drumming. You're talking about coffee. Joe, it's funny. Once you go black, you don't go back. Coffee, that's the way coffee should be, black. Anyway, let's do some linear stuff. Maybe a little review from the stick control book. Remember we were counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and making 1 and 3 and the top, 2 and 4 and the bottom. How many guys remember that lesson? I have a PDF on it somewhere. I don't know if you guys have it. Let's talk about what linear is. Linear is a straight line of rhythm. If I played eighth notes, I'm going to play eighth notes with one hand. I played one measure of eighth notes in 4/4 time. I hit one voice and I made a straight line of eighth notes. I can still play straight eighth notes and utilizing one voice. However, multiple voices, I'm sorry. But at linear, only one voice at a time. For example, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That was a linear line of rhythm. You remember that, Nate? Okay. So I like that system because I just worship. Maybe it's a religion or something, or a cult, but the brilliance of George Lawrence Stone. And if you remember, I locked these in. The top is going to be the 1 and 3, and the rights are going to be the ride cymbal. The lefts are going to be the snare drum. And on 2 and 4, the rights are the bass drum, and the lefts are the hi-hat. So I'm going to do the front with that concept or approach. I'm going to do number 1 slow. I just did 1 and 2 in. I'm going to do the whole measure or the whole line a little bit. Now I'm thinking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 in. No, there's not. You understand that so far? Now you can mix up the voices. I'm still playing a linear line, one voice at a time. I really like line 5. Let me get that one going. 1 and 2, 3. I ain't got a boonga. Actually, that approach and that idea and concept, I was inspired to come to that by Four-Way Coordination by Elliot Fine and Marvin Dahlgren. A brilliant book. When it first came out, I said, oh, man, I'm not going to play vibraphones or xylophones or whatever. And that's what it looked like. It was like, that's before they had drum keys out there. You know, this is the drum key. But the Elliot Fine's book really inspired me. Elliot Fine was an excellent musician, a beautiful human being, a good player, and a great educator. Same thing with Marvin Dahlgren. They were both classically orientated. And as a matter of fact, the book we will be working from, Dave Stanik's Mastering the Tables of Time, those two were his teachers. One of many teachers, but they're his main teachers. When I spoke to Dave last night, he said he's on the road with some big band, and they are coming to the East Coast, New York City. They might be there for 2 nights or two times or whatever. And he's going to come here in the studio and do a show with me. Okay? I'm just going to supply his transportation. So my schedule, whenever that is, and he comes, that would be absolutely great. Dave is a marvelous person, a brilliant person, a good drummer, and a sweetheart. Okay. I'm trying to, keep the lesson going, but I'm just getting, what kind of coffee do I drink? Joe. One book, let me talk about Joe Jones, Philly Joe Jones. He swung his ass off. He was so musical. It was unbelievable. And everybody, he was an inspiration to all the cats I just mentioned. Okay? And one thing as a matter of fact, I have a fake book on just him, his drum solos and his fills, or you want to call them fills, his lead-ins. Okay? He loved the book by Charlie Wilcoxon, The All-American Drummer. And then we're going to be working from that, the 12/8, the 4/4, and we're going to show you how that 6/8 is swung into the triplet. And that's where he come from. He played so sweet, so smooth, and extremely musical. That melody was there, and he always played rudimentally. Okay, Joe Jones. You like him, Paul? Shelly Man. Anybody know him? Come on, guys, give me some questions. What do you want to do? You want to bullshit or you want to do drumming? Do you understand the concept of the linear thing I did from the stick control? It's endless. I'm locking you in on 4 voices, but you can maneuver it around. I can make a formula. R becomes, left becomes, we understand that, gentlemen? Can you see that pedal? Okay. That's some linear stuff I got. Let me see if I remember this one. Every 4 beats every drummer should know. And the guy's getting $60 a month for online lessons. Unbelievable. Ingrabanga. Everybody understands. I wish I understood there, Nate. I wish I understood. You understand that? The concept. I'm going to come up with about 30 different combinations, formulas for linear stuff. And that's going to be in workbook number 2. Speaking of workbook number 1, you have it, so we got to go back to it occasionally. You know, I don't want you to waste your money. Anyway, with all of that being said, Uncle Matt's going to say goodnight. And I will see everybody. What is this, Jim? Yeah, right. Well, The Rudimental Jazz is a good book. It didn't take off, as did the Master Studies 1 and Master Studies 2. What? It's all the same, man. You know, you take a Radha McHugh in the Buddy Rich book, a Radha McHugh in another rudimental book, or in the rudimental swing or whatever. It's all the same. We're gonna start doing all of that, and I'm gonna stop talking so much and start. And I'm trying to address all your questions. That's why Uncle Matt has email. Go in the email. Request something that you would like, and we'll do a whole lesson on it. You know, when I ask, help me out, guys, with the questions, what kind of coffee you drink. It's not really, that's cool. That's being sociable and whatever. But that's not a question pertaining to what I'm trying to teach. You understand? Why did you take that off there, Joe? Shelly Man. Great drummer. Stan Getz, maybe he played with. Well, which Buddy Rich book did you get? Did you get the drum set application, which I totally disagree with? Or did you get the original Buddy Rich book? Snare drum method, snare drum technique. Did you get that one? Chicago Bears. Good night, guys. Go play your football. Make sure you give the quarterback a pair of drumsticks so he could pay paradiddles on a guy who passes. Anyway, guys, have a good weekend. And please email me the questions. Joe, why did you retract that? I'm going to do a Wikipedia thing on Shelly Manne and put him in the Facebook Art of Drumming group so you get to know who he is. The snare drum is good. That's the one you want. The other one, the rights of the Buddy Rich were sold to Ted McKenzie, and he did a revision. He did a revision on the original copy, and plus he made in book 2 a drum set application of rudiments. Which, that's his way. Fine, it worked for him. But he's into the seesaw method. When I told Alan Herman I'm going to have him here, Alan Herman just said, "Oh boy, that's going to be a disaster because we're doing two different concepts." What's the story on Jim Chapin? All right, Jim Chapin. All right, I met him a few times. Man, he was just a passionate guy with drums, man. Anybody would walk around with a real feel drum pad and a pair of sticks in his pocket, always helping somebody. Now, no, I'm not signing out. We will. We're going to do the syncopation, but right now I'm just going to talk. I'm not going to get into a lesson. I'm just going to answer one more question. Okay? What is it with Jim Chapin? Now, Jim Chapin was from Long Island, and Jim Chapin studied with Sanford Moeller. That's why you have the Moeller system. That's called the Moeller system. Anyway, that's a whole other discussion. But anyway, Jim Chapin was a beautiful guy, man. He was a sweetheart, always trying to help. A little stiff, but that's okay. He was helpful, beautiful guy. And what put him on the map was techniques for the modern drummer. And that was showing the graphics in the book, the straight ahead jazz pattern, utilizing the dotted eighth note, the triplet, eighth notes, and there were graphics. But the book was too stiff, but it was a good book. It helped me out a lot. The back of the book was like murderous, man. I threw the drumsticks up against the wall about 1,000 times from that book. Now, I don't really use the book anymore, but it did help me. I go right to the meat now, and I go to what you call, Gary Chaffee's Pattern Series. What? All right, Joe, that's a good statement. I'm gonna elaborate on that. Joe says, since we are all at different levels, and we all are, very good. Obviously, we all want to learn. Yep, well, we're all on the same journey. We want to become better. Now, whatever I'm teaching, whether you know it or not, if you know it, you're revisiting. If you don't know it, you're learning. And it's very helpful to revisit something only because of the fact I have my approach or a couple different approaches, which you might not know or you might disagree with, and that's what the chat's for. Not arguing, but talking about it. Very good, Joe. Well, all I know is I have a CD collection. I have 3 towers here. The 7 foot by 4 foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shelves plus the top, all loaded up with DVDs or CDs. I constantly listen. But anyway, Jim Chapin, man, he was a beautiful guy. I didn't personally agree with what he calls the molar system, all right? But he was not. It worked for him, but now he distributed it to everybody. This is the molar system. This is the molar whip. This is a downstroke. That's not what it is, man. I told you where Sanford Moeller studied with a Civil War drummer. Now we're going back in history here. Sanford Moeller studied with a Civil War drummer. I do not know his name. I'm going to get Daniel Glass in here. We're going to talk about this straight out. Now, Daniel Glass is an historian nut. Knows his shit, believe me. Well, you got to change that, Joe. Anyway, remember, the Civil War drummers, there was no computers back then. There was no hand radios giving signals to the troops to do whatever they're supposed to do. There was the general on the hill with a couple flagmen. And the flagmen would give the signals to the drummers on the field. Okay? Well, the best way right now, to approach the Chapin book, put it down. You go through the Chafee book, you open the Chapin book, and you go right through it. No problem. So just put it down for now and stay in. Obi, how you doing? Stay in the what you call? Oh, the Chafee books. Anyway, the guys he learned from a Civil War drummer. They had these big field drums, mule skin or calf skin heads on it, no tension rods, only rope would tighten it. So the sound of the drums was different all the time because of the weather conditions. But now think about it. There's cannons. The people are charging, muskets going off, guys screaming. Now the general's giving orders to the flagmen to give to the snare drummers. These guys are beating the hell out of the drums. They're coming from the sky. Make sure that they're hitting. That was Sanford Moeller. That's what he learned. But he modified that learning because you don't hit a drum like that on a set or just a 5.5 or 6.5 snare drum. Okay? And he come up with the control strokes or the levels. But it's not, he modified it. But he didn't discover it. That's the laws of physics. The guy got hit in the head with the apple. Who's that? What's his name? I forgot. Jeez, so many things in my mind. Sir Isaac Newton got hit in the head. He said, the laws of physics, aha. For every action, there's an opposite reaction. So much of that. Again, on the Jim Chapin book, if you want to go through it, I'll do a few pages with you. It's kind of stiff. Okay, once you learn how to play the straight ahead jazz time and interpret it with the triplet formation, and you do the Gary Chafee book, you open up the Chapin book. You go right through it. Right, Paul? You still there, Paul? There's some great parts in it. You have the Chafee book, the time functions. Oh, anyway, I got to go. I am signing off now for real. It's hot in here. Chafee. It's called. It's. I have your email, right? I'll show you a picture of it. It's called. He has a pattern series. There's 4 books. You go on Amazon. See, put in Gary Chafee. Chafee is spelled CHAFFEE. All right, and the book that you would like to purchase would be Time Functions. That's one of the books in a series of 4. I'll try to email it to you, okay? Yeah, but there's 4 of them. There's actually 5 or 6 of them. But get the one, the pattern series, the what you call it? Time functions. I'm getting tired. I can't talk. Okay, guys, no questions. You have a nice couple days off. Practice. Throw me your questions through my email. Por favor. Okay? So have a good night, and I'm going to sign off. Have a good weekend.